respond like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Jim. What a great way to start your day, knowing that you're helping people, whether it's with the Helios laser at their home or with the Epoch 980 that's in physician and therapist and athletic trainers' offices, and even the people that you've trained to use that to go into the physician's offices and offer that as a service to those people. And I'll tell you, Jim, when you don't have pain, you're not thinking about it. But
Right.
when you have pain, there's nothing in the world that you wouldn't do to relieve that pain, and to be able to do it in a natural way, in a way that's non-invasive with the Helios laser is really, really a beautiful thing. So Jim, we're listening to you talk. We know that you're an expert in your laser therapy. You're an expert in the Helios and of course the Epoch 980. How did you get started in this? Because people are listening to you, and we started off talking about mitochondria. I mean, you sounded like my biology professor in college. So how did you get started with the laser program?
Well, it's amazing how things that you do in life all come together at some point and gel. So I was trained as an electronic engineer, and my first job though was in a hospital laboratory. So really, as a biomedical engineer, there really wasn't that field called that at that time. Not to date myself, but it was a biomedical engineer in a hospital lab. So I learned a lot about the chemistry, obviously, of the body and the functioning of it. And then I did work in the field of surgical devices for ophthalmology. So I was a trained emergency medical technician. So I've had a lot of medical training. And I became interested in these lasers about 20 years ago when somebody showed me a cold laser and they were trying to develop another cold laser. And, they weren't successful in it, but I learned a lot about the technology. And that's when I started to get the idea and say, maybe this wasn't the right approach these people were taking. And I need to look at this as an engineer and as a scientist and say, what do we need to do different? Because I like the idea, I like the concept, but clearly what was out there at the time 20 years ago wasn't getting the job done. So.
Wow. So Jim, would you consider yourself an inventor? How did you put it all together? How did you come up with the Epoch 980? How did all that start?
So it started from this recognition to say low-level lasers, cold lasers, aren't really doing what they claim. They're not really living up to what they're supposed to do. And there must be a better way. So that inquisitiveness as an engineer in me says, this is a problem, and maybe it can be addressed, and maybe I can solve it. So, but then you take a look at it and you say, let's start from scratch. You don't just go drag something down the hall from a lab or a scientific laser. You don't go grab that and say, let me start waving it over people and see if it heals them. It started, going back to the cellular level, remembering the chemistry I learned, 10 or 15 years earlier, and said, how can I apply this knowledge on the clinical side and the patient side of developing medical products to a device that can be used for therapy. So it's just those gelling of all this different life experience that came together.
I love it, Jim. And it came together in a beautiful way. And you're helping so many people with the home version, which is the Helios laser. The medical profession, in my eye, they seem like sometimes they're a little bit behind the eight ball. They're a little bit, behind sort of embracing technology that can be helpful. And let's talk about that a little bit. Are more physicians now embracing the healing light therapy than ever before? How is all that working out?
I think there's a lot more study on it. There's really good societies. For one, the American Society of Laser Medicine and Surgery, which I've belonged to for years. They really have upped their game in terms of the research that they're doing. It's a great organization, and they really encourage that research from around the world. And so there's more of that going on, which is really good. There's more information about it. There's more published studies about it. There's more companies coming out with products that use light, and there's more recognition that there's more going on there than meets the eye. In the traditional medical community, there's still a road to go for acceptance. but you find a lot of the practitioners, especially the chiropractors and some general medical professions, they all have started to really use these devices in their practice and realize how well they're working. And so the word is getting out there, but it does take time, no doubt.
It does take time for adoption, and you have the first movers, and then you have the people that lag behind, and soon there's this swell of everybody using it, and that's probably the way that this is going to happen. And a lot of great therapies have started that way, and now they're just generally used in every physician's office, throughout the world. So, Jim, when we think about entrepreneurship, something that's very interesting is you took this passion for engineering and you learning about things and doing deep dives and finding a problem and trying to solve the problem with a great solution. And you turn this into a business. And you mentioned the people at Epoch Lasers. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And I want to turn this conversation for the last few minutes that we have that you set aside for us to talk about entrepreneurship, because you have a wonderful team. You have a very respected team at Epoch Lasers. So as an entrepreneur, how important is the team that you've been able to assemble for your success at Epoch Lasers?
The team has been very, very important here because they each bring a unique skill set. As a manager, I always like to assemble teams where there's a lot of diversity in knowledge and expertise. As opposed to getting 5 people that all know the same thing or only 5 people that just agree with me. I want some diversity of thought. And so I have a business development person, with an MBA out of Case. I have somebody that's been in the holistic community for most of their career. And they've been very, very helpful in connecting me to that community where they're very welcome to receive a product that uses light to heal. And I've been really blessed to work with a group of engineers that have helped me be able to get production ready for the product. And these are people, this is truly a global team. It covers people in Europe, it covers people in of course, here in the United States, it covers people in Asia, and they've all been very, very helpful. And I also think a very important part of my team are the people that use the product, because I'm very open to taking suggestions. When people have a complaint or they say, "Oh, I don't like this," or "Can you change this?" I take all that. So we always do continuous improvement. But the diversity of thought of the technical and engineering background, the holistic background, the medical background, and the business background, they're all contributing in their own ways to helping to build the company. But the one common element we all share is we want to see people get better. We want to help people. And that's really the main requirement here and that's what we're all focused on.
I love it, Jim. And, we talked to so many successful entrepreneurs on the show, from, startup entrepreneurs that have their Series A round that look like they're, going to the big time, to, Fortune 1000 company heads of growth strategy, to public companies, to Inc. 5000 companies. And we always hear sort of a similar kind of a vibe where they don't want to surround themselves with yes men or yes women, because they want what you call, and I think you've nailed it in a perfect way, and I love it, I'm going to steal it from you, diversity of thought. And that's what they're looking for, so that they're not always getting the yes, sir, yes, ma'am type of answers. They're getting people that question things, and they're getting people that are asking the right questions, and they're getting people that maybe don't agree all the time. And that's the way you build a great company. So I really am happy that you brought that up, Jim, in a great way. So, Jim, we do get some younger entrepreneurs watching the show. I'm sure some of those younger entrepreneurs also have some aches and pains that they're going to want to use the Epoch 980 as well. But for those younger entrepreneurs, Jim, that are going through a tough time, maybe they're hitting a pothole, maybe they're hitting a roadblock, they've never really figured out how to get around it, how to bust the wall down, how to get to the other side, and they're feeling like, wow, what do I do now? I'm feeling a little frustrated. Maybe you could share some insight as an entrepreneur to other entrepreneurs that are facing these types of challenges, to let them know that it's okay, that they're going to get through it if they just keep on pushing through?
Yeah, good question and good point. Is the very first and foremost, don't give up. Don't give up. I've been through a lot of school of hard knocks and hurdles in the past 20 years. Every corner you turn, there's a new club waiting to hit you on the head. But I never lost sight of my mission. I approached it with passion every day. And I always had the right motive of trying to help people, but mission, passion, execution, and keep those things in mind, and just don't lose sight of your mission. If you really believe in what you're doing and you believe in what you're developing and your company and what it can do, then follow that, and don't let the turkeys get you down, as we used to say. Don't let people discourage you and talk you out of it. There's always another way to do things. And there are some days where you take the new approaches and you take a deep breath and you say, oh, how am I going to get through this day or this week or this month? And cash flow is tight and all of these issues come at you really fast. Don't give up. That's my advice. Don't give up. Don't lose sight of that mission.
I love it, Jim. Don't lose sight of the mission. Don't listen to the dream stealers. You can do it. For those people watching the show who have an ache and a pain, like most of us do, and I definitely have a few aches and pains myself, check out the Helios laser from Epoch Lasers. Check the reviews out. See what people are saying about it. It's really remarkable. If you're a physician or a therapist or an athletic trainer, reach out to Jim and his team and talk about the Epoch 980. It's all over the world right now. There's so many great things that are happening with it in so many different offices throughout the entire world that you really should check it out. It would be a great benefit for your patients and your clients. Jim, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on the show today. I learned more than I ever thought I would learn about mitochondria, that's for sure. But I definitely wanted to learn more about this laser. I'm a big believer in these types of therapies, and that's why the ball is really starting to roll downhill, and so many people are starting to gather great enthusiasm. There's been thousands and thousands and thousands of studies done worldwide about the impact of these lasers. You've been able to take all those studies and incorporate it into your product, the Epoch 980, that's available on Amazon. I might throw that in as a little bit of a plug. But Jim, this has been a great interview. Thank you so much for coming on the .com Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series.
Thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. Great discussion.